Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome back to my channel. Today is technically the fourth day of Christmas, so we are also going to look at the fourth pen in the 12 pens of Christmas from Everything Calligraphy. I certainly hope that you are enjoying this series so far. Remember that if you have any questions about any of the pens, feel free to leave a comment for me down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Today's pen is going to be the Platinum Maki-e 12,000M. That is quite a mouthful for a pen, but here is the box that it comes in. It's just a plain glossy black cardboard box that has a drawer that slides out, and then this drawer also has another cover at the top, but this time it's clear and it has the word platinum gold embossed on one of the corners. Inside this tray we have a warranty card. It's pretty basic. It says here that the warranty period is for 1 year from the date of purchase. Also in the box is an instruction manual, and it actually includes instructions for the other pens like the mechanical pencil, the gel-based ballpoint pens, but the only part in this manual that is relevant to the fountain pen is this part right here at the top, and it just shows instructions for loading it with an ink cartridge and how to use the pen with an ink converter, just in case you prefer to use that instead of an ink cartridge. Next we have this small leaflet that explains the craft that went into the making of the pen. It talks about the Kanazawa Leaf Craftworks, and it describes the material that has been used to place the printing or the gold leafing on this particular pen. The package also included one ink cartridge, and then this pen case, it has the word platinum embossed on the front, and the material is quite thin, as you can see. I'm not really sure if this is real leather. It does not feel like real leather to me. It doesn't have that leather feel, and it doesn't have that leather smell. I'm not really sure. I have looked up some information on this pen holder or pen case, but I haven't found any. And finally, here is the pen, and it is very, very beautiful. It has a shiny black body, which is made of plastic, and it has gold trim. The clip is slim, and it has these striations on them, and it matches the overall design of the pen. The finial is black, and the cap has a band around it. It's a simple gold band with the words Platinum Japan engraved on it. And here is the maki-e on the body of the pen. That is the signature of the artist. And the maki-e is composed of several layers of urushi lacquer that are layered onto the body of the pen to create a very subtle texture, and it feels very, very distinct when I rub it a little bit with my fingertip. This one is the Phoenix design, and the Phoenix itself is not glossy. It's made of a matte gold finish layer of maki-e, but the decorative flowers have a different finish. They are shinier, and there are layers of pink and gold in it. And even the signature of the maki-e artist also has that same texture. It's very, very pretty. The cap of the pen pops off. It is not a screw cap, and the grip is made of the same glossy black plastic material, and it also has the gold trim. The nib is made of 18K gold, and it's engraved right on there, and it also has a letter P for platinum engraved on there. The nib is very, very simple. It really looks like a basic nib with the slit and the breathing hole. But I did find it interesting that the feed is made of a transparent material that allows us to see the slit and the breathing hole from the underside of the nib. I just thought that was interesting. It's pretty straightforward, I think, and I don't really need an ornate nib on a pen that already has a rather ornate maki-e decoration on the body. Now let us have some measurements. When the pen is capped, it comes at 13.5 centimeters in length. And then when it is uncapped, it becomes only a little over 12 centimeters long. But when the cap is posted, the pen becomes longer at 15 centimeters. I have very small hands. We measured my hands in one of the previous videos in the series, and this is a small pen, and because it is made of plastic, it is light, so it fits my hand perfectly. And you can see me letting go of the grip, and the pen sort of stays in place. It does not topple over the back of my hand because the center of gravity of this pen lies in that area where the band of the cap is. So I think it's a pretty well made pen. It is very well designed in such a way that the weight of the pen has the right kind of balance for small hands. And as I expected, when the cap wasn't posted, the pen becomes even more comfortable for my very small hands. The pen did not come with a converter. You can purchase a platinum converter for use in this pen, but the pen did come with one ink cartridge in the box, and this is what we are going to use in testing out this pen. To use an ink cartridge, you just pop it into that collar right there and just push it in very firmly until you feel or sometimes even hear the ink cartridge pop into place. And so now once again, it's time to bust out my handy dandy notebook, the Midori MDA5 notebook that we have been using to test out all of the pens in this series so far. And one thing that I don't really like about using ink cartridges is that if you're using it in a pen that has never been used before or one that has already been washed and dried before, it does not start right away. You sort of have to get the pen working. You have to get some nib action in before the capillary action starts to happen inside the feed. So you can see me sort of like shaking up the pen a little bit to make the ink move faster. But when I finally got it to start writing, I had a lot of fun with this pen. It writes really, really well. It never skipped. And it is a very, very wet writer. As you can see here from this angle of the camera, the ink really, really glistens on the paper as I lay down these lines because the pen is a very wet writer, so it lays down a lot of ink. And I love wet writers, so I love this pen. Fountain pens with gold nibs tend to be very wet writers, and I am glad that this pen seems to fulfill that norm. I'm just not too crazy about the color of the ink. It's not my choice, but the ink is not the one on review here. It's the pen that is on review. But I'm thinking that if you're the kind of person who prefers to use ink colors to match the pens, I think that it would be very, very nice to use a sort of dark red or a dark mauve ink color to match the color of the decorative flowers that's on the maki-e on the body of the pen. But this dark blue looks good too. It is, I am assuming it is the platinum ink cartridge, although on the cartridge it doesn't say anything about that. But when I started to make the figures of 8 on the paper, you can really see the pooling of the ink, which is a testament to exactly how wet of a writer this pen is. Now, as I keep saying, my figures of 8 are never really consistent because I'm not a calligrapher, so my wrist and arm actions are not consistent. But on the first line of figures of 8, I tried to flex the nib a little bit and it responded quite well. It is not a flex nib, so don't expect a lot of line variations, but it does flex quite a bit, as you can see in the first line of the figures of 8 and the third line of the figures of 8, which look wonky, but you see what I mean. The second line of figures of 8 is done without me trying to flex the nib, so the line widths are more consistent on that one. When I tried writing just straight short lines with the pen, I noticed that there is some discrepancy between the line widths of the vertical lines and the horizontal lines. When the tip of the nib is in a ball shape, the vertical lines tend to be the same width as the horizontal lines, but in the case of this pen, the horizontal lines are a little bit thinner than the vertical lines, so I'm suspecting that the tip shape of this nib is not a complete ball. The nib is smooth and it is soft and it flexes a little bit. It flexes reasonably enough to accommodate probably the stronger handwriting styles. But what really gets me about this nib is how wet it writes. And if you're anything like me and you love shading in your inks, you are going to enjoy this pen a lot, because when the ink that wet with that amount of pooling dries on the page, that translates to a lot of shading and ink variation on your handwritten pages. And as I have mentioned earlier in this video, this is a rather small pen. It is small, and because it is made of plastic, it is also light, and I have very small hands, so it fits my hands perfectly. So it's very comfortable to write with if you have very small hands like I do. However, if your hands are rather big, you might find it to be a bit more uncomfortable because you have to cram your fingers together before you can get a proper grip on this pen. But it's really up to you. Some people have very large hands, but they are more comfortable writing with smaller pens. Your mileage may vary, but for me, I really like the smallness and lightness of this pen. And then I tried out the test that I usually do with fountain pens to see if they can write with their own weight. Now, like I mentioned, this pen is very light, but it still can write properly using its own weight alone. That is one of the marks of a good fountain pen. And I do prefer writing with fountain pens without the cap posted, but because this is a very light pen, because of the material used for the body, even after I posted the cap, it still felt light enough to be comfortable in the hand. And I'm just really doing the same kind of test that I showed earlier on in the video. As you can see, the pen is not toppling over the back of my hand whenever I let go of the grip, because the center of gravity is somewhere towards or very near that band that is decorating the cap. Now this pen is certainly very beautiful and writes very well, but a lot of people feel that it's kind of wrong to use a very beautiful maki-e, sort of like artisan level maki-e, on a material such as plastic. The maki-e definitely adds a very premium feel to everything, but if you're aware that this pen's body and cap is made of plastic, then you would kind of think that what is the point of putting maki-e on plastic? The craft and art of laying down layers and layers of urushi lacquer on a pen to create maki-e is something very premium, and there are some pen brands that are very, very expensive because of this urushi maki-e thing. And these pens are created by artists that have been doing them for many, many years. So I can understand how some people would expect that a pen that has maki-e on it would have parts that are also just as premium. But of course, that will also make the entire pen much more expensive. But if you want to have the beauty and art of maki-e in a pen, and you don't want that said pen to be too expensive, if you want to still be able to afford a maki-e pen, I recommend this pen because it certainly looks very beautiful and it writes really, really well. I have placed a link down below where you can purchase this pen from the Everything Calligraphy website, and just take note that Everything Calligraphy delivers to all points in the Philippines, and they also do international deliveries, and shipping is going to be free if you purchase items worth 1,000 pesos and above. And I also have a review of the Everything Calligraphy online store in my channel, and I will also link it down below. Make sure that you check out all the other videos in this series, and I will be back again tomorrow for pen number 5 of the 12 Pens of Christmas from everythingcalligraphy.com. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and Merry Christmas!